I have been really fortunate to work with some of our very, very best directors. And it really is a director's medium. And I'm still like, I'm amazed at how much he gets into a shot. I don't know how I could explain that other than it's so sumptuous, it's so visually, there's so much going on. You have to go back and I find other things that are happening in that scene. I feel really fortunate. I feel really blessed to be part of this film with these people and really blessed just to be able to do this still, to tell stories. And I think the movie points that out too, that none of us are important. It's the community. It's those that come before us. It's those that will come after us. That what it's all about. You know, we have this view on, I think, silent movie era is kind of calm, pristine. By all reports, it was a wild, wild west, and they were like anything could go. They were making up, the rules as they went along, and that's what I think Damien Chazelle has captured here. There's like Fellini moments in the opening scene. It's funny, it's moving, and it's big. It's really big. We follow all these characters as they move and cross paths through this big seismic change from the silent era to the talkies.
Honestly, just grateful to be a part of it. I mean, I know that's like the easy thing to say, but I really mean it. Like, I feel like being in this movie means that, yeah, someone in 20 or 30 or 40 years' time is going to be like, oh, wow, I love that Nellie character. It would just last, I hope. So much happens in this movie. It's such a rush. It's such an insane ride. You almost can't believe what you're seeing. You're going to need to see it again to make sure you really did just see all that. I've done a lot of stunt-heavy movies. I've done some demanding roles, but this was a different level of keeping that energy, Nellie energy up, and kind of hitting all ends of the emotional spectrum. It was something. You're going to be gobsmacked after seeing this movie. It's just an amazing ride, but it makes you feel like you're there, like you're really immersed in that world, like you're on a film set, like you see movie magic being captured in the moment. And I've felt that before, and it's the best feeling in the world. And now people are going to watch this movie and they're going to feel that, and I'm just excited for it. He's unbelievable. He is just like a perfect director. So meticulous, never sells for anything else, but also gives you complete freedom. And the way he got stuff out of me, it's like he just let me off leash. Like, he was like, go bigger. At any time I gave him the most, he asked for more.
It was a dream come true. I mean, as a director, it's like a kid in a candy shop. It took a while to assemble the cast. We were casting for about a year and a half. It's the longest time I've ever spent casting a movie, but it was worth it. I started kind of conceiving this movie like 15 years ago. So Hollywood has changed even during the course of writing and making this movie. But yeah, you can't not be aware, releasing this movie right now, there's a ton of parallels, and I think that makes the movie all the more I think exciting for audiences today. I'd say also the parallels don't just extend to Hollywood today. They extend to every every workplace, industry, art form, way of life today. All over the world, people are feeling like they're in some kind of transition, like the world is changing, like technology is changing our lives. That's what this movie's about. It's about what it feels like to experience that kind of transition. It's comedy and tragedy. It's got both in it. And I think people, actors of the level of Margot or Brad or Gene or Giovanna Depo or Diego, what they can do is they bring this humanity to it. So no matter how outrageous the stuff you see on screen is, and there's a lot of outrageous stuff in this movie. Margot fights a snake. That's outrageous. But she makes you believe it. You see the human being. You see the emotions underneath. That's real acting. That's not many people can pull that off. Well, it was just the biggest thing I think I'd ever done that any of us had ever done. It's like every scene in this is larger than life. It's like you start with like a party scene to end all party scenes. That was the hope. Then you're on a battlefield, movie sets shooting at once. Then you're at another party, a snake fight, a crocodile, an elephant. I mean, the whole, it's like we threw everything into this movie, and I wanted it to feel like a ride. We packed everything into this movie, so it's a full meal. So there's a lot in it. So I think you're going to get something different every time you see it. We tried to, even every image, we tried to sort of frame it in depth. So you have foreground and background. You have different stuff going on in the frame at all times. So yeah, there's always something for the eye to look at, and I think every time you watch the movie, you'll see something else to look at, and that's, I think, part of the excitement of it.
I was honestly so excited in the car on the way over, because for those of us who have seen the movie, we know how wild it is, we know how provocative it is, and how disruptive it is, and I just don't think people quite realize what they're getting into. So I'm kind of sort of like a little bit giddy to see how people respond. Diego, who I think a lot of the people haven't seen in a movie yet, is such a movie star, and he's going to really blow people away. I mean, I think we all had this experience of when you first meet him, you sort of see this guy and you're just like, wow, you really feel like an iconic star of 50 years ago or something. He's got such a timeless quality to him. I truly think he's a genius. There's something quite magical about being in his presence, about being directed by him. He is freakishly observant. There are scenes in this film which have thousands of extras, I mean truly thousands of extras, and he would be able to come up to everybody, myself included, and have, you know, when you moved your shoulder a little bit, that move it an inch back. When you touched your hair on that take, and you just touch your, you know, he just sees every tiny little thing, and is so generous and so collaborative, and you know, you'll see when you see the movie.
It's the greatest experience I ever had in my life. He's going to be one of the, he's already, but he's going to be like really one of the greatest, and I'm very lucky to work with him. Nobody's ready for Babylon yet. There's no one better. Honestly, it's my best acting experience. I own her so much in this one, and I just want to work with her again. I think that there's no way to be ready for all this. I still have to pinch myself every morning to realize that this is going on and it's real life, you know?
It shows a period of time in our history that is gone, is decadent, is memorable, and fun to watch. Well, it's bigger than life, so you have to see it on a big screen, and the detail is forever, so you got to see it more than once. Well, it's an overused and abused word, but he's a genius. He's just a good old-fashioned genius.
Damien, for one, he cares deeply about what he's doing. He's a humble student of film, and he's just going for it. He's letting people do their things. He's smart. He knows, let the actors run wild. Let them try everything that they can. Let them, rip out their hearts. Let them go for it. And the whole movie is, it's love to cinema. And that time in the United States or all over the world, when the silent films transition to the talking films, that's a major cultural shift that changed the way our culture operated, as much as the advent of the computer or something. It's a huge shift in the psyche of the world, and and I've always been amazed by that period of history, and to see it captured so thoughtfully on film is awesome. Sometimes you need time, you need space, you need to be reckless in order to make something beautiful. And you might fail miserably, and you might succeed wildly like he did. And he's willing to take risks, and he's willing to follow his heart. And I'm just honored to help assist him in that endeavor. This movie, Babylon, is pure art. It's a giant, sprawling epic. And Damien Chazelle just followed his vision, come what may. He's not interested in trying to make something to sell. He's interested in pursuing his love for cinema, his absolute getting lost and immersing himself in a piece of art.
No, he was a joy. He was always had a great sense of humor, always supportive, always complimentary. He looked like he was having more fun than anybody. It made it a real pleasure. Oh, I had a blast. I mean, how could I not? Him and Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie. Especially Brad Pitt.
It's a labor of love from all of us. We all worked really hard every day, coming in, trying to do the best for Damien and for this story. And so I think it's reflective of that in the film. If the film industry is always changing, and I think the best thing that we can do as entertainers or people who are involved in it is to accept it and to kind of roll with it and learn and adapt. He's a brilliant filmmaker. I've been a fan of his for so long. I remember meeting him when he was promoting La La Land, and I was doing Fences. And I went up to him at a party, and I was really nervous, and I was like, hey dude, I know you're busy and you got a lot of people around you. I just want an opportunity to work with you one day. And I think I kind of manifested that, and it's been really cool every day on set to come in, work hard with a bunch of actors who are super talented for a story that I think is really interesting and ambitious, and it's fun. This is a film that I'm really excited to be here to watch with a grand audience. We worked really hard on this film, everybody in the cast, with Damien at the head. I mean, this is a moment like no other.
I think anybody who knows Damien's work, and this was my experience as his wife, when you watch this movie, you're going to be shocked. When I read the script, I couldn't believe that came out of him. It is so insane. So I don't think you can prepare yourself. You have to just see it. And definitely don't expect anything he's done in what you go in for, and then you'll hopefully be pleasantly surprised. I mean, every shot, as I'm sure you saw, is like a canvas in a famous painting, in the sense that there's so much packed into it. And so I think that the more times you see it, the more you pick up on these little kernels, these little inside jokes, these nuances, I guess. It's like it's a dense movie in that way, but you can watch it the first time and it's like a wild ride, and every time is sort of a different layer of experience. The casting director, Francine Maisler, like Damien basically said, I don't want to see any normal faces in this movie. I want everybody to be really unique. And Francine was like digging up to find characters.
And it's a lot of faces because it's a big cast.
Yeah. There's these legendary directors of our time, right? And I've been lucky enough to work with some of them. Thank you, guys. Let's keep doing that. But they all have this innate ability. Yes, they're encyclopedic knowledge. They know cinema and how to make it look beautiful. But with actors, they really make you feel like, look, I am going to make you throw the touchdown pass in the Super Bowl. And you're like, what do you... I haven't even played. Are you crazy? But now before, when you hear that, you're like, that's nuts. But in the moment, you're like, I'm Tom Brady. I'm going to win this goddamn game and get a touchdown. They all have that innate ability to make that actor feel like, oh my God, I feel like a god. And then we all feel that way. And when that magical moment is thumping, the room goes boom, boom. And then the DP and the rack focus and the PAs, everyone is thumping in one unit. And the great directors know how to make that moment special. And weirdly, this movie's about those moments too, so it's like we didn't want to let that down, and I hope it happens. It's also about those magical moments and a love letter to cinema that you're like, this is why we do it. These historic, films and stories are important to be told, and there's such great talent out there in Hollywood that have come here, and you get to see what they do, and it lives forever, and I think you'll just be enamored with why you love film as well.
It's big picture, it's big sound. I think it has incredible relatability, the struggle of anybody in the arts, but in this particular case, actors and filmmakers trying to make it at such a pivotal time in Hollywood. And I think what will surprise people is the depth of that story at a pivotal time. Just to be participating in a movie of this scope at the time was wildly intimidating, incredibly educational, but it was kind of like getting the gift you wished for, getting to work with him in a movie like this. For me, it's a flavor that I don't see often. When I first saw the films he put out, Whiplash, First Man, La La Land, it's funny, it was one of the directors I said to my reps, I go, I want to work with him. And I sort of said that as, let me put that in the universe. So I'm not going to lie to you. The fact that I'm standing here talking to you right now, having been in one of his films, is wildly surreal.
I don't know. It has everything in the kitchen sink in it. The opening is, Damien wanted the opening to be the party to end all parties, so it's maximalist. It's, it's a music-driven movie that moves fast, but it covers a lot of ground. Look, I hope people in this town especially will like this movie. It's a movie about what happens when you come to Hollywood. It's about how people are transformed, and I think that's something that a lot of people can identify with.
When I saw that first cut, I understood how beautiful it was, the cinematography that Lena shot and the tone of it, which is not quite what I thought based on the script. I read the script and I was blown away, but then you see the way the actors play it, and it always surprises you. So every step of the way, from the first cut through each cut to the very end, I was always seeing things that I had never seen before, and I'm just always blown away by Damien's filmmaking.
People keep saying it's just so much, and that's by design. It was meant to be a lot, and we actually hoped that we could design a film that you could sort of fall into 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Those movies that you rewatch over and over in your life and they're always revealing something new. That was our goal. This movie, if you want to pay attention the second or third time, because it's a multiple watch movie, just to pay attention to the musicality of the movie and the intercutting and what he does with Tom Cross and Justin Hurwitz's score is extraordinary and really unlike what most filmmakers are even attempting to do. They can expect Margot Robbie fighting a snake. They can expect probably the only movie, or one of the only movies made today, 99.9% practically. There's virtually no green screen in this film. And the sheer size and scope of it is mind-blowing. You're going to see things in this movie that you will probably go, how did they do that? And the answer is we did it the same way they did 100 years ago. So we have a battle sequence with 700 extras shooting a war movie like they did in the 20s. We got live snakes, live alligators. To be honest, it's like we have everything in this movie.